Let me get this going here. All right. And then I'm gonna pull this up on my phone. That way I can.
I do that too.
That way, every now and then I'll get some bots. And, I have to get rid of them. So.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
I think I saw that on the Dark Somnium stream.
Yeah. It happens.
It happens.
It happens, yeah. Yeah, so, cool. Have you been watching a lot of the streams?
Yeah, so, well, I had a event on Saturday, so I've been mostly preparing for that, but I listened to a couple of them, like, while I was doing that. So I heard some of the Dark Somniums, and then I heard, I think, Vidith's.
Okay, cool.
And yeah, I've just been like dipping in and out of them, but I have heard some of them.
Nice. No, yeah, that's what they're for. They're for dipping in and out of. It's funny. Every now and then I'll go back and I'll see like some random channels that have like interviews with some of my favorite narrators, and they're like from like 3 years ago, and I'll go watch them, and I'm like, oh, these are interesting, just to kind of see what they were like back then. But yeah, anyways, yeah. I thought, I was like, oh, what if I just did like 13 nights of live streams? That would be easier than doing like a Halloween collaboration.
Yeah.
And
that's a cool idea.
It's definitely not easier, so.
Oh no.
Yeah. So.
Has it been fun at least?
Yeah, it's been fun. It's just the whole time zone thing and getting people lined up has been, oh my gosh. But anyways.
Yeah.
But,
no, I'm sure it's difficult to like coordinate everything.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, you got guys like Papa Scare and like Jay Nightmares. They're like on the other side of the globe.
Oh right, yeah.
So yeah, and then
yeah, this isn't too terrible of a time difference, I guess.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so. Let me see.
Good thing I'm not studying abroad anymore.
Oh yeah, yeah. Where were you with that?
I was in England, so.
Okay.
It would have been like midnight, I think.
Midnight. Okay. Nice.
Oh no, probably later than that. I don't know. I can't remember how time zones work.
Yeah. Let's see here. Are you doing anything fun on your channel for Halloween?
Yeah, I do a like a small thing every year. Just like a small like compilation, basically.
Okay.
So I just do like short story, like some very short stories, usually like five or six. Just in one video. It's not like a lot, but I usually like premiere it and everything, so it's like kind of fun.
Oh, nice. So it's kind of like you can kind of interact with people a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because I don't do a lot of live streams or anything, because I'm kind of like, I don't know, I'm kind of awkward on live stream. Maybe a bad time to bring that up, but I'm kind of awkward on live stream, so.
No, that's good.
It's especially by myself, like, I don't know, but yeah, so I don't do a lot of that kind of thing, so it's just a way, like a premiere is kind of an interesting way to interact with people.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so I remember we had, my first interaction with you was with the Dezombified. Well, there's a couple of times. So I first watched you on Dezombified, where they interviewed you and you like played music and stuff like that. And then we did the Wizard of Words,
yes.
To which he soundly beats everyone.
That was fun though.
That was
really fun.
Yeah. I was trying to think like what could be like what could we do to do something similar, and I was like, well, I don't know about like a contest or anything, but I don't know. I was trying to think of something as fun as that, but anyways, this is what I came up with in terms of that. So,
like I said, it's a very cool concept. I personally could not coordinate all this, so kudos to you.
Well, awesome. Thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, of course.
Let's kind of hop in the questions here. So starting off, what inspired your YouTube channel?
Oh gosh. Well, okay, so I was interested in horror for a while, and I was also interested separately in YouTube for a while. I had a YouTube channel when I was like, this is embarrassing. I had a YouTube channel when I was like 12. Not horror related, just me goofing off basically. And so like I sort of kind of dabbled in YouTube before when I was younger. And I always sort of like wanted a YouTube channel like of consistent content, but I don't know. I always had the mindset of like, well, I'm too young to do that. Like, I don't think I would be able to put out consistently good content yet. And like, I thought that pretty much my entire, like, after I stopped doing YouTube at like, I don't know, 13 or something, I was like, yeah, I'm too young to do this. Like, I don't think I can do this yet. And so I just kind of like had that mindset every time I thought about making a YouTube channel. I was like, no, I'm too young to do it. Like, I don't know what I would do anyway. And I just like brushed it off. And then I guess, I don't know, 18 is still pretty young. But when I was 18, I was like, you know what? I feel like I can actually do a decent job at this now.
Oh, yeah.
So just, I think it was like the summer after I graduated high school. I guess I was just bored because I was like, you know what, I'm gonna just try it, and I kind of figured it wouldn't go anywhere, but again, I was kind of bored and I always wanted to do it, so I just started doing it. I don't remember why specifically I chose horror, other than like I had listened to other narration channels before. I was really into like true horror stories at the time, like one of my favorite YouTubers was Darkness Prevails.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so I listened to a lot of those, but I personally, I've always liked creative writing, and I was taking a lot of creative writing classes at the time, so
Okay.
I personally have always been into fiction, rather than like nonfiction stuff, so I guess that's sort of why I lean toward creepypasta rather than going into the true story area myself. Was because I figured that would be something I'd be more interested in sticking with as like a project. So I don't know, I just stumbled upon the creepypasta wiki at some point, and I was like kind of looking through everything, and I found a story that I was like, this would be super fun to read, and I just sort of went from there. I posted the first, or I sort of created the first video and thought it was really fun, and I learned a lot from the first video creation process. And at the time, I obviously had like no subscriber base or anything. It was just my little brother. I showed my little brother my first video and sent it to like my friends and everything. And I was like, you know what? It does not hurt to continue to create these for as long as I am interested in doing it. So yeah, pretty much just went from there. I really did not expect anyone to actually listen to them, but here we are, I guess.
Yeah. I guess you were wrong. A lot of people really enjoy it. So let me ask you this. So you mentioned that you listened to Darkness Prevails. Would you say he was a big influence that got you started in the narration aspect of YouTube?
Yeah, I mean, probably, yeah, because, I mean, again, I did listen to other narrators, but for some reason he's the only one I remember listening to consistently. Mm-hmm. Because I'm actually very picky about like narrations that I listen to. Like I don't know, if someone, and you know, obviously it's being a narrator myself, I feel like I understand this so much better, because it's just personal preference for like who likes whose voice, because some people have like vocal tics and some people have like different cadences and whatever, but most of the time it's just like if you like the way someone's voice sounds, and that's obviously hard to control. So right. But I don't know, I just remember specifically liking Darkness Prevails, and then, you know, after I started, I got more into fictional creepypasta stuff, but but before that I again was really into those true stories, or quote unquote true stories. Right. So I don't know, but yeah, I guess I would say Darkness Prevails was probably a big influence. I remember him like interacting with some of my tweets on Twitter one time, and I was like, oh my god. Yeah. So that was cool.
That's awesome. That's way cool. How long ago was that?
I don't even remember. I think it was only like, must have been like between a year or two ago. Like it was. I had subscribers at that point, so I was like interacting with a bunch of narrators on Twitter. But I don't even remember what the tweet was. I just remember him liking it or like giving it a reply or something, and I was like, oh my god, it's Stormy Surveillance. Like, I don't
Yeah.
even listen to that many narrations anymore, but I was still like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I remember I was in one of Let's Read's live streams, and he saw one of my comments. He's like, "Hey, buddy," and I was like clutching my chest. I was like, "Ugh!" Like,
exactly.
I was like,
it's just a little like,
yeah,
girl, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Quick question from the chat. Very personal question: pizza rolls or hot pockets?
Oh god. Okay, I feel like I'm about to make some enemies here. I'm actually an extremely picky eater, so honestly, I would say neither. But the only one I've actually had before is pizza rolls, so I guess I would have to default to that one.
Go pizza rolls. Yeah, I'm pretty picky as well. At my work, we had like we would get like these breakfast hot pockets, and I like one day I ate like 5 of them, and I'm like, I can't eat these ever again. Like, I'm done.
Oh my gosh.
So I have to go to pizza rolls.
That's fair.
Yeah.
You got burnt out.
I got burnt out, yeah. And now
it's a rookie mistake.
Yeah, rookie mistake for sure. Let's see here. So you started your channel a couple of years ago. You felt like 18. You were like, okay, I can finally start making cool stuff. So when you started it, what inspired the name Spirit Voices?
That's a good question. So I think I probably said this on my channel at some point before, but actually I started off with a different name. Not too different, but I actually, when I created the channel originally, I had the name Royal Voices, which is like, you know, not too different, but it was, I had that for like, I don't know, I think I created the channel before I like actually finished making the video. So in between that, I was like, this isn't horror, this isn't like spooky enough. Like I have to make this pertain to more like what I'm actually doing. I think I just made it as sort of like a placeholder name, but I guess I sort of like looked over like what other people's names were, trying to get a sense of like how people chose their names for their channels, and I don't know, honestly, like there's nothing too deep to it. I was just like, what would sound cool for this, and I already had the voices part as Royal Voices, so I was just kind of substituting things in for like blank voices. And I don't know, I just thought Spirit Voices sounded pretty cool, and I liked the sort of I guess like images that I got in my head from that. Just sort of the abstract vibe, I guess, that gave me. I was like, I could do something with this. This gives, like, that name gives me a lot of potential, I think. So,
yeah,
you know, there's not a lot of original meaning behind it, and I guess it has more meaning now. But at the time, I was just like, yeah, sounds like a decent name to me for a horror channel.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because it sounds scary, but it also sounds like ethereal at the same time. It sounds like. Like
mysterious.
Yeah. It's kind of got like I don't. It's got layers to it. It's not just like this one thing. It's, you know, it can have, I feel like, multiple layers.
Exactly. Yeah. That's sort of the idea that I got as well. And I was like, you know, I like that because and not that I'm like insulting other people's channel names, because people have such cool names. I remember looking through them and being like, oh, I should have thought of that.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
But like, you know, I wanted to make it clear somehow that I was horror adjacent, but also like narrating, like, I don't know, like I just wanted it to be like clear what I was doing without specifically saying that. So I don't know. That's just sort of what I ended up settling on. It's funny. Someone in the chat said, "Any Royal Voices OGs?" I promise you, there will be like there will be none. I didn't even post anything when I named my channel that. Sometimes YouTube will send me emails and they'll have Royal Voices in the subject line just because that was the original name for it. And I'm like, ooh, that's a throwback. I forgot about that.
Yeah, nice.
So.
Similar or same person also commented, what would you say the best channel name is?
Oh gosh. Immediately, all channel names that have ever existed left my head. So
Right.
that's cool. I don't know. Like, again, I just remember looking through them, and obviously I know so many more narrators now that I'm like in the community, because at the time I didn't know so many of the ones that I now do. And of course, you know, this being like 4 years ago at this point, a lot of narrators that I did know at the time are not even making content anymore. So so it's there's a lot to choose from. I don't know. I guess in general, I tend to like. I don't know if I could pick a specific one, but I guess in general, I tend to like the names that just have a lot of meaning to the channel that made it. And again, I promise I don't mean to call anyone specific out, but just the ones that are unique to the point where I don't get them mixed up with other channels, because there's a lot of channels with like the word creep in it.
There's a lot.
When people talk about like the big narrators, like, you know, like Mr. Creepypasta, or like I genuinely I don't even like know them all, and I always get them mixed up. I have to like look them up to be like, oh, it's that one. Okay.
Yeah.
Which again, you know, that they were some of the OGs, so it makes sense that that they would be named that. But it's just kind of funny every time it happens. I'm like, oh, right. So I guess the more meaningful and the more unique a channel name is, the more I'm interested in it, I suppose is the bottom line.
So the two that pop out at me personally that I listen to would be Mortis Media.
Oh, that's a good one.
And Dark Somnium. Those two,
I love the Dark Somnium.
Both of those I don't mix up with anyone. I know exactly who they are.
Yes.
And it's funny because I was talking to Ronnie a couple days ago, and he's like, I almost named it Ronnie Reads. And I was like, Dark Somnium's, that was a good pick. Good thing you stuck with Dark Somnium. But
exactly. No, that's I did know that. I heard that in another interview he did, and I was like, oh wow. Because I was trying not to mention him because I will go off on a tangent about how much I love the Dark Somnium. But yes, his name is very unique, and I just love the name behind it. I studied Latin in college, so I was like immediately geeking out about that.
It's a cool name. It sounds scary even if you don't know what it is. It sounds scary. It's you know, it means dream, which, you know, a lot of people have scary nightmares. I mean, I think that's he nailed it on the head. I thought that was a great pick for that. And then I don't know, did he tell you like his actual character, like his profile picture guy, like his guy is actually like there's like a backstory to that?
Yeah. I've heard it before, and it's I love that. Like I love I've always just like loved you know, when people take on that persona and it has such meaning to them, and like it has a story and it's like deeply connected to them rather than just something that they and I'm a hypocrite because that's literally what I did. I was just like, oh, that sounds kind of cool, let's go with that. But you know, it just always like makes it seem so much more personal, I guess. And I feel like I can connect to that person more by learning what the background is to their channel and everything. So I love it so much.
Yeah, so speaking of which, you have a pretty interesting profile picture. Is there a backstory with that? Does that have any meaning with your channel?
So I did after not actually sure exactly how long, but like a few weeks or months or whatever, however long of me having my channel. When I actually started to like get some people listening, it was like, oh, this might be a real thing I keep doing. I did want a persona, and I wanted one anyway, but I sort of thought this wasn't going to last super long, so I didn't want to invest too much like time or money into it if it was going to only last like a couple weeks or so. But again, when I started actually gaining traction and realizing like, oh, I actually really love doing this, I'll probably be doing this for a while, I wanted to get a persona. And I think it honestly was like someone in one of the Discord servers I was in was like friends with an artist who was trying to sell commissions to pay for I don't know, something going on with their life, and so they like promoted them in a Discord server I was in, and I was like, oh, I love their style so much, and it was relatively cheap because they were trying to sell them really fast, and so I was like, you know what, yeah, I'll invest in this to get a cool picture out of it, because before this I had like a stock image as my profile picture.
Oh, really?
And it was like okay, it wasn't like a persona though. It was just like a random. God, it's still somewhere on my channel. I actually think it's still in my channel trailer, but it's just like a girl like blowing smoke into a microphone, basically.
Oh yeah. Is she wearing like a hat?
Yeah, she is. Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Yep. So that one, I mean, that one was fine. It like matched the aesthetic and everything, but again, I wanted an actual persona. So I just contacted this artist on Twitter, and I don't remember if I probably mentioned this before. I always repeat myself with these kinds of things, but I have aphantasia, so I can't like visualize anything in my brain very well. I can only like abstractly conceptualize some things, but I really can't, like I could not come up with like an actual cohesive image in my head about what I wanted my persona to look like. So this poor artist, I drew like sort of a basic idea. Like I didn't exactly know what I wanted her to look like, but obviously I knew I wanted her to be a ghost, some sort of ghostly figure. But I mean, honestly, like the outfit details and everything, like I could not figure out. So I went to this poor artist and I was like, please help me, because I don't, like, I want this so bad, but I don't know what she would look like. And so, I mean, this artist was great. She was kind enough to sort of work with me and send me like concept ideas and things like that. And between the two of us, we got an image together of what she might look like. So the only things that I knew going in, again, she would be a ghost, and I knew I wanted her to have this like pastel like color palette with like this cool color palette. I was kind of thinking more green and blue, but she brought the purple in, and I fell in love with that instantly.
Nice.
And then the only other thing I knew, like black and white outfit, not a lot of color going on her besides her hair. And then the only other thing that I knew going in was that she would have like an angel, like this angel choker, because angels are actually like very interesting and kind of symbolic to me personally. So that was the only accessory I knew I wanted her to have. So going off like my original drawing, and then I just told this artist, like, just do whatever you think will fit this girl's aesthetic, because I truly have zero ideas. So between my drawing and this artist's creativity and our like concept discussions, she basically came up with my profile picture, and I immediately just loved everything about it. So it's been the one I've used as a reference ever since. And yeah.
Okay, very cool. Does the picture look like you in any way?
No, I wish actually. No, it does. It really does. I mean, actually, since since making my channel, I did dye my hair purple at one point, but it was not this pretty, bright lavender purple like this because my hair is very dark, so that wouldn't have worked. Um, but unless I bleached it or something. But no, I really wish I looked like her, but I unfortunately do not.
Okay, cool. I just wasn't sure. I know some people sometimes have like caricatures of like their
Sure.
image and things like that. So I was like, I wonder if she did that with that. But...
Yeah, I know Romnex does that. But
yeah,
but no, it's more sort of, I guess, just like an alter ego sort of thing. It's not even a like how I wish I looked per se. It's more of just like a just I don't even know how to describe it. I guess alter ego is probably the best way, but just like a different persona for me to come on here, because Lucy is not my real name either.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it's just like this different, I guess, character. Not that I like, I guess that makes me sound like a fake person, but
No, I wouldn't say
in name and appearance only.
Right. Yeah, no, okay. Interesting. I didn't know that was a stage name, if you will. Interesting. Entropic isn't my real name either, so.
Oh, really?
Yeah, believe it or not. However, I do look like my profile picture, so.
Oh, good. Okay, because that's how I imagine you in my head, so that's good.
That's what I'm going for. I paid extra for that. I was like, hey, look, artists, this is what we're going for.
Perfect, exactly.
Nailed it.
The Play Doctor look is iconic.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was killing it back in the day. Slavic Scott he actually asked a question I was about to ask you on my list. He wants to know, what is your favorite your favorite story that you've narrated?
Oh my gosh, I've been asked that before, and it's always like one of the hardest questions to answer because for my channel, like I have a very short attention span, which is a great way to start off any answer to anything. But basically, like, I don't narrate a story unless I think it will be interesting enough for me to like really put a lot of effort into. Because otherwise, like, I just lose, like, I've tried it before and I just lose interest in it, and it doesn't end up sounding good, or like, I'm never proud of the stories that I do where I don't actually like the story. It has to be something that I enjoy, and it has to be something that, I mean, this makes me sound like pretentious, but it has to be something that like like passes my, I guess, like quality check sort of, for me to be able to even like physically narrate it, or else I just can't do it. So my point being, I love all the stories I do, and so it's very, very hard for me to pick like an actual favorite. But I guess I would say, if I did have to pick one, I really, really loved doing oh god, what's it called? The Bottom of the Ninth. That one, I don't remember how long that was ago. I think it was like a year. It must have been 2 years ago now that I did that. That's weird. But that one was really, really fun. And I personally, I think my favorite kinds of stories in general are the ones where they're like 100% dialogue. Because I really feel like I can really utilize like my acting, or like practice my acting skills on those. Mm-hmm. And really like bring the character to life. So I love the ones that are just 100% like, I guess, monologue or dialogue. Those ones are always so fun for me. But yeah, The Bottom of the Ninth was one of my favorites. I did that one with, I don't know if you've heard this one, but it's basically me and Romnex as sportscasters, like watching a baseball game. Mm-hmm. And we just go back and forth for the whole story, just narrating what is going on in this baseball game. And it was just, I mean, it was so fun, not only because I got to work with Romnex, who is probably my favorite female voice actor, but yeah, like it was also just incredibly fun in general, because again, I got to really act on it, and I got to do a lot of sound design that I liked. And I'm not a sports person. I should clarify. I'm really not. I started reading this story originally and was like, I'm gonna hate this. Like,
Oh, really?
I don't even remember what got me reading it in the first place, because I kind of thought I wasn't going to enjoy it, or there was going to be a lot of lingo or things that
Yeah.
I didn't understand. But no, it turned out to be like one of the most fun stories I think I've ever done. I even like paid a little bit of money on it to make like an intro, like a different intro, so that it looked like a sports show or something. Like it was it was very fun. So probably that one, if I had to pick a favorite. But I mean, there are seriously so many good stories that I have found and gotten the honor to narrate, and so it's genuinely, like, if I thought about it for another couple minutes, I could come up with like at least 5 more off the top of my head that I would consider favorites. But but I'll leave it at that, so I don't talk forever.
Nice. No, cool. Interesting. So you mentioned you like this. So this type of story, what would you classify that genre under?
That's a good question. I really don't know. I mean, it was horror. It was horror still, because like the premise of the story was it was a baseball game, but it was basically the other team were aliens. The stakes being that they were going to take over the world.
So it's like Space Jam, but for baseball.
Sorry?
Like Space Jam, but baseball?
Oh, yeah. Basically, yes.
Okay.
It was, so, like, that was... So it's still horror. I mean, there's still some horror aspects to it. But, I mean, it wasn't particularly scary either. Just because, I mean, it was really funny. Like, there was a lot of humor in that one.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, I sent this story, just for reference, I sent this story to... like a couple of my friends who usually don't listen to my narrations because they don't like horror, and I sent this one to them because I knew they would actually like it. So it is technically horror, but I guess it's also, I mean, not nearly as in that genre as a lot of my other stories are. So I really don't even know what I would classify it as. It was just entertaining. Like, okay. It was just fun. I mean, it really was just super fun for me to do, and to have Romnix in on was just even better.
Oh,
so
cool. That's really
yeah,
cool.
I don't even have an answer for that one.
No, not a problem. Me personally, I like stories that have twists in them. So I write most of my stuff. So I like stories with twists, and I like having some form of a cryptid creature in the story. Those are the things I personally enjoy. But I also really like paranormal stories as well.
Oh yeah, paranormal stories are very good.
Yeah, those are some. However, they don't do as well in terms of analytics for me, but
yeah, I agree with that. I tend to like stories that are like very, like, more supernatural, I guess. That are horror, but more sort of, I don't know, like mysterious, I guess.
Okay.
And I just did one recently, actually I think it was just the last video I made, called the Bus on Fowlcroft Row. And I love stories like that, like the ones that have like creatures in them, and that don't necessarily, like, nothing necessarily terrifying needs to happen. Like, the main character doesn't have to, die or go through anything traumatizing for it to still be like a story that makes you think, and a story that entertains you and that brings you into a different world. So yeah, I like those kinds of stories too.
Nice, very cool. Let me ask you this. So outside of your videos, when you personally watch YouTube, what kind of videos do you watch?
I don't know. See, okay, I go through watching YouTube videos in like waves. Like I
Right.
cycle between YouTube and like watching short form videos, and then like watching TV shows and everything. So right now I'm in a TV show phase, so I haven't actually watched YouTube videos in quite a while. But when I do watch horror stuff, and I do listen to horror narrations, especially when I'm like multitasking. I like to listen to narrations when I'm like playing a game or doing chores or something like that, because I personally like visual stimulation and audio stimulation at the same time. If it's just one, I am understimulated and I can't focus.
Oh, interesting.
So yeah, so I usually do the narrations and podcasts and things like while I'm multitasking with something. But I also watch other stuff outside of horror. But honestly, I mean, again, I haven't watched YouTube in a while, so like I don't even know if I did go back to it. I don't even know what I would be interested in. It changes every time what I'm interested in watching. So it varies between like comedy and like gameplay streams and like I don't know, various types.
It's so interesting because YouTube will recommend me stuff that I would never watch in a million years. But they recommend it to me, and I'm like, oh, okay, this is interesting. And I watch it, I'm like, wow, I didn't even know I'd like this kind of stuff.
Right? I know that's happened to me too. Like, I found some very good creators out of that. Out of like YouTube, like the titles of videos draw me in enough, and I'm like, okay, fine, I'll like watch the first few minutes, and then it's like, it turns out to be very interesting.
Yeah, like there's this one guy, he does like hoof cleanings on cows.
Oh my gosh, that's such a niche area.
And I was like, this is so silly. Who would watch this? And I like watched the first like 15 seconds, and I'm like, this is actually really satisfying.
That's
like,
so funny.
Yeah.
No, I love that though. That's great.
Well, and I'm like, first of all, I'm not like a country guy at all. Right. I would die. I would just be dead out in the country. So so I was just like, wow, this is really fascinating. Okay, so your stuff kind of comes in waves. What are you currently? What's the most popular thing for you now?
You mean in terms of like what I watch?
Yeah.
Oh gosh, yeah. So I mean, well, mostly I've been watching TV shows now. I have a lot of stuff to catch up on.
Okay.
In terms of TV shows, I think in terms of like YouTube stuff, I like watching like true crime and like Reddit videos. I don't know. Those are two like kind of unrelated things.
Are you talking about like the like where they like the AI reads the Reddit stories?
Okay, I don't really like the AI or like the computer generated voices, but like that same area, I guess.
Okay, yeah, I was just like, yeah, anyways, yeah, I won't comment on it.
Computer generated voices are a little like, I don't know.
Yeah.
They're kind of grating, and also it like kind of bothers me on principle that people post those because it's like you didn't put any effort into
right.
this.
You copied and pasted a story, and you're not even read. Like the very least you could read it, you know.
Right.
That's so
I know.
Funny. That's hilarious.
And also, they probably don't ask permission or anything
no,
either.
No, definitely not. Well, and
find an interesting story and then just make a computer do all the work for them, and then they get millions of views. And I'm like, okay. Maybe I'm just a little bit petty. I don't know.
Well, yeah, no, because I think you and I both started at the time of the Watchdogs in Reddit.
Yes.
So yeah, that was a fun era where we had the blacklist and things like that, and that was Anyways,
that's funny. I didn't actually know about that at the time because I didn't go into Reddit first. I went on the Creepypasta wiki first. To look for stories, but eventually I did go to No Sleep, and even then, I mean, I just gotten into the habit already of asking permission, so it didn't even like occur to me to just like take stuff off of Reddit. So I found out about all that stuff later and was like, oh, well, good thing I'm already doing this. But yeah, I do remember all that drama going down and being like, oh, well, I guess I'm already doing the right thing, maybe?
Yeah, you're a good person? What?
No, that's crazy. Yeah, no, because even on Creepypasta Wiki, like, I know a lot of those are licensed under Creative Commons, so like you can legally just take them and narrate them, and you don't have to ask permission for them. But I just feel icky doing that. I don't like doing that. I would feel so bad. Like, I have had authors tell me before, like, yeah, you can narrate all my stuff, just like tell me when you post it or tell me whatever you read. And I'm like, oh, but I don't want to just. I just feel bad. I always have to ask first. I'm sure I annoy some of them by doing that, but I just can't. I can't read a story without having gotten permission for it.
Well, I'm sure they appreciate it.
I hope so.
Yeah, no. Sun Tzu said, what did he say? Sun said, respect to the chat, and both narrators recently found this channel into gem, and Spirit Voices is a cult legend. What do you have to say? What do you have to say about being called a cult legend?
A cult legend is an interesting. I don't think I've heard that one before, but I do appreciate it.
It's funny, when I was going against you in the Wizard of Words, I like looked at your channel, and I was like, oh no. I was like, oh no, she's got a very devout following. Like, I'm in trouble.
That's so funny. It's funny. I hear I've had to go back on my channel and re-listen to some of my stuff because I'm in the process of putting subtitles on some of my videos.
I noticed that a lot of them are closed captioned.
I've been trying to go back because I did that at the very beginning of my channel, and then I just sort of stopped doing it because I was like, I just kind of figured no one was using them, and it was also at that time at YouTube it was kind of hard to do. Like, I don't remember exactly what the process was, but I remember it being just such a pain in the ass. So I just stopped doing them, and then recently, like, I took a small break because I was doing study abroad and stuff, and then I came back, and I don't know what it was, but I was thinking of improvements I could make to my channel, and I was like, you know what, I should update these captions. I bet people would actually really appreciate them.
Yeah.
So anyway, but the point is, I've had to go back and listen to some of my old stuff so I can put the captions on them and make sure they're aligned correctly and all that. And it's been kind of rough. I've had to go back as far as like 4 years or 3 years to hear some of my old stuff, and it's like, oh man, like I just cringe. I cringe hearing that stuff now. And so it's funny. I see people leaving comments on my old videos and talking about my old videos, and I'm like, oh, I'm glad you enjoy them. I can't listen to them anymore.
Yeah. I think all of us have kind of gone through a phase of, well, for the minimum, but also, like, I've done a purging of about 50 to 60 videos, where I'm like, I'm like, I can't listen to this, and I can't expect anyone else to. Like, these are that bad. So I've purged quite a bit. Yeah.
See, I don't delete them. Because I don't know, people leave comments on them still, and it seems like they're enjoying them, so I'm like, okay, I'll trust you. I don't know. I guess if you get, like, more than a couple minutes in and you're not already sick and tired of it, then I guess that's up to you, but I won't go back to some of those. Weirdly enough, my first ever video I can still listen to sometimes. Maybe it's just nostalgia, I don't know, but like, a lot of the ones in between, I'm like, why did I do that? Why did I, like, not edit that out? Why did I, pronounce that like that? Like, there's too many. I have too many critiques from my past self nowadays.
It's funny you mentioned that. There's a story a couple of videos ago where it said something about enveloped in darkness, and I said enveloped in darkness.
Oh no!
And I didn't realize it until someone mentioned it in the comments, and I'm like, yeah.
Oh man.
I'm like, yeah, I almost just deleted that whole video, but I was like, nah, I'm just
honestly, I probably would. I literally, if there's a word that I'm not quite sure about, like, even a little bit, I have to stop and look up how to pronounce it, because I just know I'm going to embarrass myself. Like, there's no way. And every once in a while, like, most of the time I'm usually right with my first assumption, unless it's like a place name or something where I'm like, I can't even begin to figure out how to pronounce this. But like with normal words, like, usually I'm correct, but every once in a while I get to one and it tells me it's a completely different pronunciation. I'm like, I'm so glad I looked that up, because I would have made a complete fool out of myself if I had just tried to pronounce that without having any sort of confirmation. So So it works out every once in a while, but I know that like yeah, sometimes in my old videos I'll just hear something. Like I remember there's one video I have. I'm scared to say the name. I don't want people to go find this because it's really embarrassing. But it's Heavy Rain, and there's one part where it was a collab with a couple other people, and I think it was Maskino who this is about, but I accidentally, like, I don't even know how this happened, but I accidentally, when putting in one of his lines, I like left too much of the clip in. So like underneath my narration, you can hear him just like talk. Like I guess he messed up a line and he's just talking, and then he redoes the line, and then it stops. So it's just like a weird audio glitch where like he's just talking underneath me for a few seconds, and then it like randomly cuts off, and it's so awkward.
Plot twist: Spirit Voices is like smothering Moschino, like in real life. You're waterboarding him with like a towel or something.
Exactly. Yes. Like, I'm like forcing him. I'm like, repeat the line now.
Yeah, exactly.
That wasn't good enough.
Yeah, as you talk over him. Someone had a really interesting question. Ray Lee Animations wants to know, what was it like to be on the NFC narrations?
Oh, the NFC. Yeah. So it's actually really funny because I recorded my part for NFC like, oh gosh, I don't even know when, but it was like a year or so ago that I recorded my lines for that, because as people who know the Dark Somniums channel know, they took them forever to put that video out, not because, you know, just because it took, I mean, it was like 6 hours and it took a lot of effort to get lines from everybody, and there was a crazy amount of sound design, and he wrote like original songs for it. So it took a long time for him or for him and the author to produce all of that. So I recorded my lines for that a while ago, and I remember it being very, very fun. I didn't really work with Ronnie directly for that one. I worked with the author mostly, and he sort of directed, like we would go on Discord calls and he would direct me, like we would do a rehearsal script reading, and he would direct me for how he wanted the character to sound, and I would try my best because I'm not a professional actor by any means. I've never had acting lessons or anything. That was my first time being in any way directed, and I was like, oh god, this is a lot of pressure. But it was really, I mean, he, you know, the author is a great guy, and he made me feel very comfortable doing it. So I remember being a very cool experience. It kind of felt like the most professional project I've ever been on. And it was also cool, like, being one of the main, I mean, there's a lot of main characters in the NFC, but, like, one of the main characters, I guess. And yeah, so I just remember being a very fun experience, but it's funny because it happened, I recorded those so long ago that, when I took a break from YouTube and everything, I managed to completely forget that ever happened.
Oh, wow.
So the author, he contacted me like a week or two before I think it was a week before they released it. And we've been sort of, sorry, there's a really loud car going behind me. I don't know if you can hear that. But yeah, we sort of like had talked on and off about other stuff in between, like in the interim, because we're like friends. But I just completely forgot about NFC. So he messaged me like a week before, like, hey, just so you know, we're finally about to get this out there, and if you could like promote it and everything when it comes out, and you know, all that stuff. And I was like, oh, right, that, yes, cool, I forgot about that completely. And he was like, oh, your lines were so good, and you captured this character so well, and I was like, thanks. Like, I had to go back and re-listen to my submission, because I literally completely forgot all about it, so it was actually very interesting. When it did come out, I was like, yeah, I was part of this huge project that I totally remembered working on. It was super fun.
That sounds awesome. You totally forgot you did this awesome thing, and then they're like, "Oh yeah, you did a great job," and you're like, "What? What are you talking about?"
Like, oh, thanks. I guess.
Yeah. I'm totally aware of what you're saying. Yeah.
It's
That's
so
awesome.
fun. Like, it's literally, it was again such a cool experience, and I obviously remember it now, but but I had so much other things going on in my life. It completely I was like, yeah, I did all my collabs. I guess I'm done, and I just completely forgot about it. But yeah, I mean, I was told I did a good job, so I guess I did a good job.
Nice. I remember most, if not all, of your videos I've listened to are outstanding in terms of voice acting. Where that's something when I watch some of your videos, I'm like, man, I need to turn up my voice acting. And so that's something you've actually inspired me. Because when I would read, I'd just be like, and I'm like, okay, this is cool. And then I heard yours, and you're like getting like in depth, and like each character has like different like vibrant emotions, and like you feel things with different things. And I'm just like, oh no, I gotta reevaluate my stuff.
That's really sweet. Thank you. I truly, I mean, I've never really considered acting before. I mean, I sort of had in high school and everything, but the high school I went to didn't have drama or, it didn't have theater or anything like that. So I didn't really have the chance to act. And also my memories, after that last story, as you can tell, my memory is terrible. So I was like, I can never, memorize lines or anything like that. So I never really thought that I could ever act or anything. But I always have, I mean, again, I take a lot of creative writing classes, or at least I used to. And I always liked reading as like an editing technique. I always read my own stories out loud, like my own submissions out loud, just to like hear how they sounded and catch any mistakes or grammatical things or weird wordings or whatever. So I always read things out loud before this, and but like sort of, I didn't really like try to act them out or anything. I was just sort of, again, it was just like an editing technique. So
do you think it's your personality maybe that's just more like like you just can capture things better just because you have like a more vibrant personality than most people?
I mean, maybe, I don't know, like it's funny, I don't want to I feel like I'm kind of a like I don't feel like I have that unique of a personality, like just instinctually, but I don't know. I mean, maybe it's just that I'm more empathetic or something. Like I've always been a very empathetic person, so maybe it's that. But like, yeah, I really just I don't know what it is, but I mean, even for my first story, I picked a story that that would be fun to act. My first ever story was like a ritual pasta, and like, so I'm like leading someone through a ritual, so I had to act that out. It was like as a first person's point of view story. So I don't know. I guess I just always thought those would be more fun, and I now it's probably just that I've had a lot of experience doing it. That has made me, I guess, do it more. But I really couldn't say what drew me to that. It just sort of happened that way.
Okay. Well, let me just tell you, I felt like I've only been talking to you for like 5 minutes, and we're just under an hour.
Oh my god, really?
Yeah. I've gotten. I've asked you like 4, maybe 5 questions.
Oh my god.
And we're just kind of like rifting through this. Like we are. Yeah. So what? I don't know what kind of time frame you have.
I mean, listen, I'm free. It's probably just because I talk a lot, really.
I don't think so. I feel like it's pretty. I mean, granted, I'm not. I don't. I'd like to hear what people have to say. Like I have you on. Like I'm showcasing you and your abilities and your skills. So like that's exactly what I want. Like it's not. I don't feel like it's one-sided in any ways. Like we're personally asking you these questions, and like we want to know more about you. So like you're killing it.
Okay, as long as I'm not, being too chatty. I guess that is the point with narration is to talk. But I've
Right.
always been a little bit of a chatterbox. So
No, you're totally good. Let's see here. Let me ask you this. At what point in your YouTube career did you realize that you had a gift?
and just now, I think, is it? I don't know if I would even describe it as a gift, but I will say that I had a very cool moment, actually two very cool moments right at the beginning, that made me sort of go from this is never going to go anywhere, this is just me doing this for myself, to, oh, people might actually like to listen to this. And the first moment that happened in, it was my first story. So basically how I got there was I posted on the forums of the Creepypasta Wiki, hey, I'm a prospective narrator and I'm looking for stories and I don't quite know how to use any of this stuff yet, so and I don't know any of the authors on here, and so if anyone could just give me some stories, if you want your story narrated, just drop them here. And so a bunch of authors responded and gave me a bunch of stories to read. So some of my first stories and connections with authors on the Creepypasta Wiki came from that post. And so I read through a lot of them and just picked the one that I thought was the most interesting for my first story. And again, it was that ritual pasta story. And the author, I told the author when I did it, I sort of asked permission in the sense that I made that forum post. And so I was in contact with the author and was like, hey, I would love this to be my first story. And so he was like, yeah, go for it. And so after I posted it, I sent it to him. And so my first moment when I realized that people might actually like it was that he listened to it and then gave the link to a bunch of his friends and a lot of the authors on the wiki, and they all listened to it. And I was getting a lot of comments about how people liked it, and almost immediately I got an invitation to the Creepypasta Wiki Discord server, and I think it was from just my first. It was either from my first or maybe my second narration, but I got connected to that community really fast. I remember sitting with my little brother and just being like, is this really happening? What is going on right now? So that was very, very cool because I basically got a streamline into this community, and a bunch of authors were on the Discord and they gave me a bunch of their links and permissions and everything.
Oh, wow.
And
so you hit a gold mine. Cool. So you hit a gold mine, basically.
Yeah, it really did. I mean, it felt like I just got super lucky. I was really, it was just very, it was lucky that they were all connected like that already, because because nowadays, the server that I joined originally doesn't even, well, it might exist still, but I'm not that many people are using it. I think there's another one now that people use, but my point is it's not as connected now as it was before.
Yeah.
So it was just a good timing that I happened to join at that moment, and a bunch of people were there to sort of bring me in. And this was before I knew any narrators. This was before it was literally just me in my mom's house, just. Again, I had a $10 microphone, plastic USB microphone.
Oh, really?
I was just trying my best. And my first video, I didn't even there was a lot of things I hadn't even figured out in terms of editing and production and all that stuff. So it was very surreal being picked up that fast. And then I guess the second moment would be when the Dark Somnium contacted me. Because I actually didn't even know who the Dark Somnium was, which is crazy to say now because I love everything that he does. But I didn't know who he was when I started doing narrations, because again, I didn't really listen to creepypasta fiction stuff originally. I listened to the true stories. So So I didn't know who he was, and he found me first because
What?
I narrated a story that he was about to narrate, and he was just looking for other adaptations of it. And I guess he listened to mine, which is wild because I was very small. I think I only had, I don't even know how many subscribers I had at that point, but like definitely less than 1,000, probably only 100 or so.
Oh wow.
And so he listened to my adaptation, and he contacted me on Twitter, I think, and was like, "Hey, I just listened to your video, and it was really good, and I've been looking for a female narrator to work with for a while, and I would love to work with you sometime." And I was like, "Oh, cool, that's really sweet." And then I clicked on his channel and saw he had like 30,000 subscribers or something, and I was like, "What?" So I had a mini like heart attack moment. But yeah, that was an extremely cool, like, I am forever grateful for those two moments, because I don't think I would be, I definitely wouldn't be where I am without those. So I guess those are the two moments I remember the most out of my sort of development, because they got me the most connected into the community.
Yeah.
And I would not be where I am without either of those things. Those two things just randomly happening. So
that, on top of you are the Wizard of Words as well.
Oh yeah, the Wizard of Words was very
you have
fun.
that title, which
That is true.
So that's pretty intense. Well, that's awesome.
Gosh.
So you had a huge channel reach out to you. How long ago did Dark Somnium reach out to you? What year was that?
I think that was in 2018. I want to say. Well, that's when I started. I started in July of 2018, and so it must have been either like the end of 2018, or I could probably find it. I have the Twitter history still, but it was either 2018 or 2019.
You took a picture. You took a screenshot of that.
I took a screenshot. Yes.
It's on your wall framed.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, no, it is a prized possession of mine, because I got into a lot of his bigger stories at the time. That's awesome. But so that was just so cool. But anyway, I think it was 2018 that happened. Just like a few months after I started.
It's funny. So when I do, I tell stories, I sometimes change my voice if it's a female character. Which it came across my mind like a dozen times. I'm like, I should just reach out to Spirit Voices and have her do this for me. But I was like, I don't know. But however, nonetheless, it's hilarious. It still sounds like me. It's no mistake. It's still me. But if I have a female part, I would also love to have you on as well. I think that'd be great.
Listen, I am always open to collabs. Especially now, it's so much easier now that I actually have my own recording space. Which sounds fancier than it is. I really just go into my closet. But like, it's so much better than before, because when I was in college and I lived in like the dorms, there was not really a private place that I could go to record at. So I would literally, my strategy was literally just to rent a room from the library on my college campus, like a study room, and record in there. And I'm pretty sure I either annoyed or concerned so many people in my time doing that, who were like, what is this girl doing? But so anyway, the point is I love doing collabs, and it's so much easier now that I don't have to do that. So I am always happy to help. Nice. I do the same thing for now male parts, if that makes you feel any better.
Oh, really?
I literally just lower my voice a little bit if I don't have someone collabing with me. I just lower my voice a bit and hope for the best. I feel you. Yeah,
I love when my wife, she tries to impersonate me, and it sounds nothing like me. It sounds like a caveman. Is it to that level, or do you have a little bit of, little more, talent with that?
I would not say it's a I seriously, no exaggeration. I read it the same way that I would read it if it were a female. I just lower my voice slightly and hope for
very
because
slightly.
I also take on stories where there's a male protagonist, because I don't know. I never wanted that to like limit. I never wanted gender to limit which stories I could read. So
Right.
So I have a lot of stories where the protagonist is a male, and that doesn't bother me. So, and I don't change the. Sorry, I keep dropping stuff. I'm messing with things on my desk. But I never changed the name or anything. The only exception to that is the bottom of the ninth, where it was 100% dialogue. So I did actually. It was originally two male sportscasters, and I changed the names slightly to two female ones, just because. I don't know. Yeah. That one was 100% dialogue, so it felt more organic. Yeah. But mostly I don't change the names because it's like, doesn't bother me as long as it doesn't bother the people listening. But yeah, I genuinely just read it the same way and just lower my voice slightly, and people will understand if it's. I mean, the text says whether it's a man or a woman, so
right.
You get it.
Right. So I have a great question for you. I normally save this question for the last part of the stream. But knowing you and your creative mind, I feel like we're going to have some great topics on this one, so I'm just going to go ahead and throw it out there. Non-politically, what is a conspiracy that you currently think is true?
Oh my god, a conspiracy that I think is true.
And I can give you some examples, because...
Yeah, please do. I'm like trying to think about... what conspiracies even exist.
Right. So I write all my stuff, or most of my stuff, and so I have to have like a crazy creative mind, and so I try to look up things, and I do that more for like drawing inspiration from things. So I'll give you a couple. Are you familiar with like the Hollow Earth theory?
Vaguely, yes.
So I mean, it is what it sounds like. There's another. Yes. The Earth is hollow, and there's like another ecosystem underground, and there's different animals and plants and things like that. Do you think that that's something that could be possible?
That's and I have heard of that vaguely, but I don't know if I've ever like considered it as like an actual theory. But like, that would be very cool. Here's the thing: is like I'm not like that much of. This is gonna sound stupid. I'm not that much of a like academic or like a I guess I am an academic person, but like when it comes to like scientific things, like I know pretty much nothing about anything, so anything can really be possible.
You just spoke to my soul there for a second. I don't know nothing about anything. That's great.
I know nothing about. I mean, that makes you sound like so like self-degrading. I don't even mean it in like a harsh way. It's just like. I feel like when people ask me like all these deep, serious, factual questions, I just feel like I'm talking out of my ass most of the time. So, like, anything could really be possible. It'd be really funny though if I just was casually like, oh yeah, like I'm a flat earther for sure. But like beyond that, I don't know.
Nice. So I used to work at Taco Bell, and I was that guy. Like in the back. Like I would just like they would like summon me, and I would like empty the grease pit, and I'd be like, you guys believe in aliens? I'm like, oh no,
my gosh,
not this guy. And then I'd like hobble away or whatever.
That's hilarious.
So the reason I asked that, so we're gonna go down this rabbit hole. So I don't think the Hollow Earth theory is, more or less correct or whatever. I don't think that there's another ecosystem. However, there are interesting things. Like most recently, they found out like there's like an underwater ocean under the surface of the Earth, which I think is interesting.
That is interesting.
Like another body of water. But mainly, so like when I write stories like Skinwalkers or Wendigos or Rakes, I think about how can I incorporate a story that like the theory is already in place. Like there's already a story to be made off of this. So what if we, like, when I write a story, I think, well, what alterations can I make to this theory to where it could be plausible for something like this to exist? And so I have a couple stories where, like, one is where these skinwalkers were trapped in this cave or something like that from hundreds of years ago, and so they've kind of created their own little ecosystem in there. And then these paleontologists remove a boulder that's blocking the cave entrance, and they go inside and explore. And then so that's the justification behind why the skinwalkers are in there, is that they're in this cave that leads to this hollow earth or whatever.
Right.
And so someone actually told me I was an intern at a car rental place in Washington, and my job was I had to give people rides back to their house after they were done renting. And so one guy I gave a ride back to, and he was one of those guys. He claimed to be in the military. He had one of those military hats where it said he served, and he had all of this. All of these, different types of clothing that said he was in the military. And he asked me about if I believed in aliens. And at the time, this is right after I was still in school, still in college. And this was after my experience at Taco Bell. So naturally, I was like, yeah, of course I do. And so during this ride back, he told me how he was kind of high up in the military, and how not only were aliens real, but they were actually in the government, and that they were experimenting on different things. And that's how come we are getting more and more advanced, is that we are, working with them. And so that's kind of how his justification as to how we've been a world superpower for so long is that we've secretly been collabing with aliens.
Wow. That's fun. That's a fun one.
and then he took it even further, and he was telling me about how we gave them special permission to examine people, and that they were working on an alien hybrid cloning process.
That opens up so many, so many mini, conspiracy theory branches within the.
Oh yeah.
Within that.
Absolutely. And so I thought this was great. And so if you look at it that way, if you have aliens, cloning aliens or cloning humans, and they had different hybrids, that would explain, sure. You could explain that with Bigfoot, like if they hybrid it or they breed it with a monkey or some kind of primate.
Oh, like all the cryptids.
Yeah, so that's kind of where I go for inspiration for those stories. Actually, I have a couple series that I've written where that is the premise, where they are creating these creatures purposely to slowly diminish the human population.
Okay, see, that's fun. I actually like that one.
Yeah, and so
it's terrifying in an existential sort of way, but it's also
right.
kind of fun.
Right, and so I have what is it, the National Park Skinwalker series. That's what it is that there are these military bases under the national parks, and that they are slowly releasing these different skinwalkers and wendigos and rakes throughout the park to diminish the population. And that's how the aliens are going to take over the world, is that they're slowly diminishing them through these parks, because the parks are all around the United States.
Sure.
But yeah, so that's kind of the stuff. So I allow myself to go down these rabbit holes because they give me great ideas for those kind of things.
Oh yeah, absolutely. No, that would be a lot of good inspiration, I think.
Yeah, and it's actually interesting. If you look up the concept, so there's a couple of things I don't even touch. One of them is that I thoroughly believe. One of them is demonic possession. I don't even touch that. That's something I don't even mess with. I don't want any of that. Mm-hmm. That's something I'm pretty terrified of. But when I'm out camping or out with friends out in the woods, I do not talk about skinwalkers at all. I don't say the name. I don't even think about it. That's
don't want to jinx it.
Yeah, that's something I legit I actually worry about when I'm out in the woods. Is I'm this might actually be out here.
That's fair. I feel the same way about Ouija boards.
Oh my gosh.
Ouija boards kind of freak me out. On the one hand, I'm interested in, but I've never tried one because it my interest does not outweigh my caution toward them. I'm too freaked out that there's just some bad energy there,
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. Ouija boards and voodoo, that stuff. I'm what is going on here? Because I grew up in the South, and that's something they're don't even mess with that.
Yeah.
Maschino
Yeah,
says,
I did too.
Maschino says, worry about those Luigi boards.
Ah, yes, those are the most dangerous subtype I've heard.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Yeah. I'm trying to
Yeah.
think. Are there any personal things in terms of like theories, conspiracy theories, or like even like the things I was telling you about, like you don't even mess with? Is there anything like that you have implemented in your stories or anything like that?
Oh, in my stories. That's interesting because I don't really write a ton of horror stories actually. In the past, I've written, oh gosh, only like a handful that I can remember. And I have the ones that I have written, the horror stories I have written, I usually narrate just because like I might as well, they're mine.
Right.
I have my own permission. That's fine. So I've narrated those like as specials and that kind of thing. So I don't think I've never written, any kind of cryptid story. The horror stories that I tend to lean toward tend to kind of blend with my true crime interests. So,
Okay.
and my paranormal interests. So I write a lot about like serial killers or paranormal, like hauntings and things like that. And then I've written just like a couple random short stories as well that are more atmospheric than anything. So I don't think I've ever like implemented, for example, like aliens or anything like that into my stories. I tend to go more toward like the ghost, I guess like the ghost aspect of paranormal in terms of the things that I enjoy writing about. But I love reading about cryptid stuff. Like it's so interesting to me actually. And I don't know if I necessarily like, I'm sort of a person or the kind of person where I have to sort of see it to believe it. So I'm like open to the existence of all that stuff, and Ghost falls under that as well.
So do you believe in
But
ghosts?
that's the thing. Like I don't necessarily like, I don't not believe in them. But I would have to see evidence of it to actually like fully believe in it. But I'm also like completely open to the idea that they do exist. I've always loved watching like ghost hunting media and stuff, but those things are hard to trust.
Yeah.
I never know. I'm kind of naive sometimes, and sometimes I watch them and I'm like, oh my god, that looks so real. But like, I know that people fake that kind of thing, and it's hard to tell who is doing that and who is not. But I mean, again, I'm very open to that kind of thing being real. I do think aliens do exist. Just statistically, it seems so much more likely that they do than they don't.
Right.
But ghosts, I'm not sure. But they interest me, like them and like ghosts and cryptids. That kind of thing interests me so much.
You just,
where it's like I simultaneously hope they're real and also hope they're not real.
you kind of inspired an idea in my mind. You just said ghosts and cryptids. What if there was like, I guess that's kind of what a Wendigo would be. What if there's like a
combination?
Yeah, what if there's a combination to where this apparition can form into this real life creature, kill people and then vanish again?
That would be interesting. Like, instead of being elusive, it's straight up like can vanish.
Yeah, like it's just gone.
That would be cool. See, I like, I guess, well, I don't know, do Wendigos do that? I guess I guess they are sort of, oh gosh, like the lore is that they are people turned into creatures. Yes,
Right.
That's sort of similar to ghosts, I suppose.
Well, I think they're like they're spirits that inhabit people and then they turn into creatures. I think.
Oh, okay.
That's what I think they are. But anyways.
I mean, I guess those are similar in concept, at least.
Yeah.
No, yeah, that would be cool. Like a combination ghost cryptid. I mean, that would be very interesting.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this. Red Nova Tyrant wants to know, what is the scariest thing you've done or experienced?
Scariest thing I've done sounds ominous. Like,
Well, you mentioned you're like this true crime person. So so before you go down that alley with the previous question, are you one of those people that could like legitimately get away with murder?
Oh my god. You know what? Honestly, like, I think personality wise, yes. I don't think anyone would ever really suspect me of committing a murder, but I also would be the kind of person who, like, wouldn't think everything through and do something stupid that would give me, like, I would leave some sort of weird evidence behind, or I would just panic. I feel like I would panic. I have a lot of anxiety, so I feel like I would panic in the moment and do something stupid that would ultimately give me away. But if, like, logistically, I got away with it, like, in terms of physical evidence and that kind of thing, I feel like if it were down to, like, which kind of person would be a suspect, I don't know. I don't know. I feel like maybe I could get away with it. I feel like I have enough character references.
Well,
I would be like, I don't know.
I'm referring more to the knowledge of things. Like I feel like
No.
like
Well, then
in
no.
terms of like disposing a body, like evading questions, like hiding evidence, things like that. Like is that something that you're capable of?
Oh my gosh. Like, okay, I feel like from watching true crime and everything, I have gotten some knowledge of like what, especially of like what not to do. I
Right.
feel like a lot of, I've seen Forensic Files like 3 times. I know what not to do when you commit a murder. But like, in terms of questioning, see, I think I would either pull it off, like, it has to be an all or nothing sort of thing. If I'm being questioned, I would either go into survival mode and just completely act my way out of it, or I would, again, just panic, shut down, like, be the kind of person who, like, has a story but then, like, forgets all the details of it, so I, like, mess them up and, and they start seeing holes or whatever. Like, I feel like I would either nail it or just completely, they would just see through me instantly.
It would be so bad. Like you have like a body fall out of like the trunk of your car.
Exactly. Like, as I'm trying to recount my story,
You're
you've already sent like a team of officers to my apartment, and they're like, "No way.
Yeah.
There's no way she's telling the truth."
Yeah.
So again, all or nothing. It would really depend on the way that my anxiety would react to that situation, because it would either be a tool that I can use or it would be the thing that gives me away.
Nice. No, yeah, I hear you. No, I would be like a Jeffrey Dahmer where I'd just be like, oh yeah, like that's a Halloween prop, or like yeah, that's like yeah, that person I'm trying to kill. Yeah, like that's my friend. Be like, oh okay, cool, okay. Like I need a lot of people to play dumb for a very long time for me to get away with some stuff.
That's fair. So like you put yourself in the situation enough that it's you can't distance yourself too much.
Right. Well, it's
because
not.
then you'll seem like too suspicious almost. You have to be like, oh yeah, I know these people, but I don't know, I didn't kill them or anything.
Well, it's not so much that I got away with it. It's just that other people would have to mess up significantly.
They would have to like lose.
They'd have
the murder weapon or something.
Yeah, they're just like, hey, I just misplaced the evidence. Like, I'm sorry.
Like, okay. So then I got away with it.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel that. That's probably about where I'm at too.
Yeah. So back to the question on scariest thing that you've done or experienced. I have one, but they're specifically asking Spirit Voices what her scariest experience was.
I mean, if you want to go first while I think of an answer, other than the murder that I committed.
Yeah, that you didn't commit. Wink, wink.
That I did. Let me rephrase.
Yeah.
I definitely did not commit years ago.
I don't. Yeah.
The statute of limitations is not quite up on that one.
Yeah.
But so if you want to go first while I think of my answer.
Yeah, for sure.
By all means, please do.
Yeah, no, for sure. So me personally, I grew up in a haunted house. And my room was in the basement, and it was one of those basements where it was half underground, half outside. And then the outside part, it's like on a slope. Have you seen those basements? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Okay. And then in my basement, or the backyard, it went into, it was like a legit forest. Like, this was in Georgia, so it was just woods everywhere. Then there were no, like, we were at the end of the street, so there's no houses near us other than my one neighbor who was, like, way off on the side. But, like, the woods legit went on for miles. I tried hiking it one day. I couldn't even get back there. It was so deep.
Oh wow.
But there was a time when I was little, I'd go play out in the woods, and I would see, like, shadow people out in the woods. And, like, it freaked me out, and I didn't know what was going on. So I would go back inside, and I could look out my window, and I could see them, like, following me in from the woods. And then later on, my house was haunted, and, like we would come home, and all the doors would be open to our house. There was a time where my dog was barking up the stairs, and we went upstairs, and the attic ladder was pulled down.
Ooh.
Yeah, just freaky things like that.
I would move.
Yeah, well, we did. Yeah, we just moved. We ended up moving.
Okay, good.
We're like, no. So, anyways,
you're not gonna be that kind of person.
Yeah.
Well, just, like, sticks around.
Well, I love how in horror movies they're like, oh yeah, it was just the squirrels that pulled the attic door down. It's like, really? Like, yeah.
Sure. Okay.
Meanwhile,
so you're just asking to get.
Yeah, it's like
you're just asking for more bad things to happen to you.
It's just no, exactly. Meanwhile, the squirrels in my attic are just living like kings.
Living their best life.
They're like, yes, we pawned it off on the ghosts.
We did it.
Yeah.
God, okay, now I sort of regret telling you to go first because that's kind of a better story than mine. Because the thing is, I don't have paranormal experiences really, which is
right.
the main reason, like I said, I would need to see evidence and ghosts to believe in them because I haven't yet really.
Mm-hmm.
But like, so the scariest thing I've ever experienced, I guess I have one, which is that one of my biggest fears, like probably one of the fears that affects me the most, is home invasion.
Oh my gosh.
I'm so scared of it. I'm so paranoid too. If I hear even the slightest noise when I'm by myself in a house or apartment or whatever, I get so freaked out. I don't know. I'm so scared of home invasion. I have all the deadbolts fully locked at all times.
Let me ask you this: are you one of those people that, like, do you have something prepared? Do you have like a weapon by your bedside?
That's the thing. Like, I don't. Like, I probably should, but I'm not like. It's funny. I don't do like face reveals or anything, so nobody would really know this. I'm like a very skinny person. I'm like not athletic. I'm the least athletic person, and I'm an average height, but I'm just very like small kind of still, and so I'm not threatening in any way is what I'm saying. Like, if someone broke into my apartment, like, I wouldn't know what to do. I don't have a weapon or anything. I guess I have I would probably find something if that were to ever happen to me, but my point is I would be very unprepared in that situation. So I guess that's the thing I'm the most worried about, is I have no idea. I guess I could hide and just hope that they wouldn't find me.
Just hide in your laundry.
Yeah, exactly. Or just crawl under my bed, in every horror cliche ever. And I don't know. I guess that's probably one of the things that scares me the most, is I would be just completely unprepared if that were to ever happen. Because even if I had a weapon, I wouldn't know how to use it. And I don't think I could even use it effectively either. But anyway, so that's one of my biggest fears. And I remember when I was, oh God, I don't remember how old I was, 15 maybe, 15 or 16.
Mm-hmm.
I was living in my house with my 2 siblings and my mom and my stepdad. And I just remember like waking up in the middle of the night, just like randomly, like sometimes happens.
Right.
And I just remember, like, I don't know, I was awake for a while. I have insomnia, so it's very hard. If I wake up in the middle of the night, it's hard for me to go back to sleep. It takes a while. So I was just watching, I think I was just watching YouTube videos or something, like just trying to calm myself down enough to go back to sleep. And I just remember like hearing footsteps coming up my stairs, and I was like, it was weird because it was like 3 or 4. It was like a weird time. It was like 3 or 4 in the morning, and I was like, "Who is awake right now? Like, who could possibly be coming up the stairs right now?" And I'd had my headphones in up until that point, so I didn't really I didn't hear anything before that. I didn't hear a door open or any noise downstairs or anything like that because I had my headphones in. But I like paused my video, I took them out, I like listened to who was coming up the stairs, and it kind of sounded like it wasn't any of my siblings, it was like an adult. But it didn't really sound like either my mom or my stepdad, so I was like I just kind of figured I didn't know who it was. And so I just remember like someone walking down the hall and standing in the doorway of my room, and it was like, it kind of looked like my stepdad, but it seemed in the moment like my stepdad was kind of a short. He's kind of like a short guy, and he was like kind of a bulky guy, but he was pretty short. And so in the moment, it seemed like he was like taller than my stepdad was, but it was definitely like a bulky man. And so I remember saying my stepdad's name because I was like, well, it must be him because like there isn't just like a random person in our house. But I remember saying my stepdad's name and or like whispering it because I shared a room with my sister. And it was very dark, so I only saw like a silhouette. I could not see who it was. And I just remember him like walking weirdly slowly up to the side of my bed, and I still I was freaking out. I have anxiety. I'm scared of home invasions. Like I was just panicking. I was just like watching. I didn't know what to do. And I had put my phone down, so the light of my phone wasn't doing anything, and I could still not see who it was. And he just like stood by the foot of my bed, just far enough away that I could not like make out any facial features or anything. And I remember like saying my stepdad's name again, like really just hoping it was him. But he just like watched me for a couple seconds, like a solid 10 seconds. We were just staring at each other. And then he just like turned around and walked out of my room, walked back downstairs, and that was it. And I remember just sitting there like, what just happened? Like, what is... I didn't even know like what to think about that. I was wondering like, was my stepdad like sleepwalking, or like, because I was trying to like rationalize it. I was like, I don't know why he would just of his own mind just come up, silently stare at me while I'm like trying to figure out who it is, and then just leave. So I don't know. I think that was probably that. I still think that's one of the scariest things to have happened to me, because I remember like I got no closure from that. I woke up the next morning and I was like, hey, did someone come up to my room last night? Like I told my mom about it. And she was like, no, why would we why would we do that? And my stepdad had never like sleepwalked or anything before, so we were all just kind of like, I don't know, weird, that's crazy. And then we just moved on with our lives from there. But that was a terrifying, that probably exacerbated my home invasion fear quite a bit, because that was particularly nerve-wracking, I guess. But yeah, I got no closure from that experience. I still have no idea. It was probably my stepdad, like, logistically. But again, it kind of just, I don't know. It had a very weird vibe to it in the moment. So I don't know.
I wish you could see my face right now, because I'm like, I'm looking very like, I'm like, it's one of two things. Either one, your stepdad's being super sus, or
right?
Or two, like, that's a ghost.
Well, it's just weird. in the moment he looked taller than my stepdad was. I don't know if that's just because I was laying down in bed or if I'm just misremembering it, but it's just weird because nothing like that ever happened before or since. And my stepdad is not, I mean, he's not that weird. Like, like I don't know what his motivation would have been in that moment. And so, yeah, I literally have no, I mean, it's kind of a boring story in the sense that there's like no, there's no like ending to it. I really have no idea what that was. But yeah, that was definitely scary.
Yeah, that's very scary. That's funny you say that, because that reminds me. I'll spare you the backstory, but I was living with some people, and I asked them a very similar question about like, what's the scariest thing, and they're like, oh, like I don't really have anything scary. And then they're like, oh yeah, there was that one time we found a hobo in my attic, and I was like, that's terrifying.
Oh, that's
like
absolutely terrifying.
that's the scariest thing I've ever heard. Like having a hobo in your attic, like that's so scary. And the way they found it was he'd come down and eat food in the middle of the night. That's how they found him.
Oh, you know what? I've heard of stories like that, where like things just disappeared or moved in their house, and they thought it was a haunting or something. Actually, that's funny. One of my horror stories is based off of that concept, off of like a haunting that is actually just like something paranormal that is actually just real life being awfully horrifying.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's oh my gosh, that's terrifying. See, my family used to joke about that actually, because we also had a weird attic situation, and nobody ever went up there because I like literally in the, I don't even know how long. In like the 6 years I lived there, nobody ever went up into that.
What do you mean a weird attic situation? Like, what do you mean by that?
Well, no, I just like it was. I mean, again, it was an attic nobody ever went up to. I don't know what was up there. It was just like a weird. It was just weird in the sense that like it existed, but nobody ever like messed with it ever. Like we didn't store anything up there.
Oh my gosh.
And we heard like occasionally we would hear like some weird like scratching or like scuffling sounds up there, and realistically we assumed it was like a rat or something, I don't know, which is scary in itself, I suppose. But my siblings and I would always joke that there was a man living up there, and I can't remember, we gave him a name, but I don't remember now what it was. But we gave him a name, and whenever we heard a sound up there, we were like, oh, it's just that guy, just hanging out up there in our attic. And I remember like internally being freaked out, like, oh god, what if there's actually a person up there? But yeah. I mean, nothing ever happened in our house to suggest that, but we would always like joke that there was actually a guy living up there. Sorry, I just read the chat. Evan D is saying, I'm painting my stepdad in a really bad
yeah.
Oh, he's not that weird, I promise. No, I mean, I don't even know how else to describe that, but he's not the type of person to just walk up to someone's room and stare at them and leave, I guess is my point.
To be fair to your stepdad, I've done that numerous times with my siblings.
Just scare them?
I just walk in their room, stare at them, and then just leave. I've done that.
I mean, we've all done that to siblings. I'm just saying, like, stepchildren is a different relationship.
Right.
I've scared my siblings a lot, actually.
Really?
I mean, not a lot, but I'm mostly my little brother. Oh, that's so sad. I have scared my little brother when I was a kid. I only remember like 2 times, but I remember me and my sister, we had this like creepy looking doll from my grandma. Like she gave it to us, and we had this doll, and so me and my sister would like move it around whenever my brother wasn't looking, and we would just pretend like we were not doing it. We would just be like, what is moving this doll? Like
you're like, Timmy, who moved the doll, Timmy? He's like, I don't know.
One of us would distract. It was a whole like ruse. Like one of us would distract him and the other one would move the doll, and then we would like walk out 2 seconds later and be like, what? It was just that. Like it was like an entire setup situation, and my brother got really freaked out.
Wow, that's awesome. That's pretty.
We were all little, to be fair.
Yeah, to be fair.
It was pretty.
Meanwhile, the doll is actually alive in your attic.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Like, That's honestly, I wouldn't even be. That doll was creepy. I don't even remember. She had like a name and everything.
What's with
too.
grandmas and weird dolls? Like, why can't they have like normal dolls or like?
I know. I wonder if it's just maybe it's just like the way that dolls were made back then, but
Yeah.
like yeah, they're all scary.
Yeah, they're like all scary
They're all
and
like they're subjects of horror movies.
yeah,
I
they're like
swear.
they have like human hair and they're like
Oh my god.
They're
yeah,
made-
like some sort of human aspect on them that attract that like that's why they're haunted now.
yeah, they're made with like hazardous materials.
Yeah, you've got to burn the doll to
Yeah.
to get rid of the spirit.
Yeah, you have to dispose. Yeah, you always hear about like different things. So let me ask you this, Spirit Voices. So let's say that wasn't your stepdad. So every stepdad I've ever met, his name has been Rodney. His name's not Rodney, is it?
That would be hilarious if you had just guessed it, but
You're
no.
like, what? That'd be funny. So let's just say hypothetically that wasn't your dad or your stepdad. Would that be enough evidence for you to say that that was a ghost?
I mean,
Do you think?
either that or I would just. I mean, I guess that one it's hard for me to say because it could have. I guess it could have been a different person. It could have been someone who broke in, but then like why? You know, it's the same thing with my stepdad. Like, what would the motivation be?
Yeah.
For that kind of besides someone just being a creep, but then
Yeah.
you know, again, nothing like that ever happened again, and it never happened before that. So like,
That's
it's
bizarre.
it's a very weird like. Because I majored in psychology, and I can't understand the psychology of that kind of, besides just a weird one-time power trip. But I don't know. So
Power trip, middle of the
just
night,
a one-time
Staring-
moment of control.
staring-
I don't think that's how that works.
staring at children in the middle of the night.
Just not just children. One child.
One child.
Time.
Just,
Oh,
hey, Steve, what do you got going on tonight? Oh, I gotta go stare at a kid later on. Oh, okay.
you know, just as you do.
Yeah, you know, I was gonna do it yesterday, but I had to move some things around.
My typical Thursday night.
Yeah, that's
But like, I guess the alternative would just be a ghost, and that's also kind of terrifying.
and then
But
the ghost is just like he's just doing ghostly things. He's like not even knowing he's being creepy.
I know that was just his every night.
Yeah.
And this is the one time I managed to
Yeah,
see him.
you were just aware. Like he does this every night. It's just you just didn't catch on. That's hilarious.
He took a wrong turn into the veil.
He's like, wait a minute. It's like, what's going? He's like, wait, I gotta give this girl an awesome name for a YouTube channel. He walks in. He's like, wait, what was that? I forgot. And he leaves.
Let's inspire some future career choices
Yeah.
into her real quick.
It's gonna be like, hey kid, in a couple of years, you're gonna make a YouTube channel. Remember
You're
that.
gonna remember me.
Yeah. Hey, just remember Spirit Voices. He's got like a slightly like New York accent. You're like, what?
Exactly. He whispered it every single night into my ear,
Yeah.
just to subliminally like
Yeah.
ingrain it into my
Yeah.
soul.
You're like, where did I don't know where I got the name from. I really don't. That's
Yeah,
interesting.
that's so crazy. It just came to me one day.
Yeah.
Suddenly, out
So-
of the blue.
So that story that you told me, well, let me ask you this as a follow-up question. Have you ever had any sleep paralysis? Was that a sleep paralysis, do you think? Or could you move?
I have never had sleep paralysis. See, that is what my family, or like mostly my mom, said, was that it was just a dream. And like, it's just weird because it's like I said earlier, in this conversation, like I have aphantasia, so my dreams have always been very abstract. I know a lot of people's dreams are abstract. It's like hard to explain. Like when I wake up, I cannot like visually recall them very well.
Okay.
Like there are some images when I'm dreaming. It's not like they're visually lacking, but I don't know. They're just very, they're just more abstract than it seems like most other people when they describe their dreams. They're just more abstract than that. And again, like when I wake up, then I can't remember them very well. and like even if I remember the plot, I can't remember like what it looked like or what the visuals were or anything. So I guess what I'm saying is my dreams are not usually that hyper realistic, because the other thing is in my dreams the settings are usually always like a place that doesn't exist. Like they're usually a mix of settings in my real life, but they're never actually real.
Like the state of Ohio.
Like the entire state of Ohio. Like exactly. Well, I've never been there, but honestly,
Yeah,
it's possible.
Yeah, no. That have you seen those memes?
Yes.
Yeah, it's like that's why all the astronauts come from Ohio, because they're trying to leave.
The entire state of Ohio is a nightmare scenario.
Yeah. They actually Elden Ring. That's where they actually did the whole video game. Takes place in Ohio.
Oh, good. Perfect.
Yeah, the poisonous swamps, all that stuff. That's Ohio.
Yes,
that's actually the capital of Ohio.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah, so they don't tell you that.
Like some nice trivia.
Yeah. That way, yeah. Next time you're watching Jeopardy, be like, hey, I know this one.
I know this one. It's Ohio.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's usually more like if I'm dreaming that I'm in my house, it's not usually my house. It's usually like my current house mixed with like a classroom that I was in, like one of my high school classrooms, or like mixed with my childhood house or whatever. Like it's again, they're not usually that hyper realistic. So if it was a dream, it was a very out of character dream. Not to mention, I had been awake for, I mean, I don't know exactly how long, but I remember being awake because like I said, it takes me a while to fall back asleep.
Right.
So I remember being awake for about like half an hour or so before that. So it would have been a weird, and then I also remember afterward, like, going to sleep again at some point. I mean, it took a while because I was terrified at that point. I had to watch more YouTube and stuff to sort of like try to forget about it, calm down enough to go to sleep. But like, I don't know. It would have been a very unusually realistic dream for me. So, and no, I've never had any kind of sleep paralysis or anything like that. So it would have been very strange. So I guess either way, like if it was a dream, it still would have been weird in the sense that that's never happened to me in my whole life. So
nice. Do you want to hear my alien abduction story?
I absolutely want to hear your alien abduction story.
Okay, so I was in Ohio. No, but for real, I was in I was actually in Idaho, which isn't that much different than Ohio.
Genetically similar.
Yeah, very similar vowels. Anyways, I was in Idaho, and it was a very interesting dream. I kind of have at the time I was taking a lot of different prescription medicine to help with like a lot of different things, and so it really affected my sleep, where I couldn't really see, like when I would dream, it would just be black, and I would just wake up, like I wouldn't dream anything. And this was like for like 5 or 6 years, and then one night I had a dream where it was first person, where I was laying down, and it was as if I was in my body still, and then the room filled with light from outside, where it was like some kind of craft landed outside, and the light shined in. And then it went from first person to third person, to where I was looking over my body, and standing at the foot of my bed were 3 gray aliens. And then I black out, and then I wake up, and this time I'm in first person. Now, this is all like in a dream state, mind you. I wake up, and I'm on a table, I'm strapped down, I'm not wearing anything, and the 3 grays are in front of me, and they all have these different utensils. They look very basic, but they also look very complex at the same time. Like, one had like a wand, but it had like different colors on it and things like that. And it touched me with the wand, and my whole body started to vibrate. And then, so I went from first person with that perspective to third person, to where I could now see my entire body, and I could see the 3 aliens, and they were like doing stuff. And then they touched me with the wand again. I blacked out. I'm back in the bed, first person again, and then I see the ship lift off into the night sky.
Okay, that's cool.
And to this day, I can remember that dream as if it happened, like as if I just woke up. like still.
Wow.
Like
okay.
very like that's actually one of the memories I can like visually imagine like very very well.
Yeah.
Um,
That's interesting.
yeah. So yeah, and so that was a story. Yeah, that might be why I feel the way towards different conspiracies and things like that with aliens.
Was that like the thing that sparked your belief in aliens, or did you already believe in them before
I
this?
already had I already kind of had different ideas that I figured for the most part that they were most likely kind of how you feel with Ghost at the time. Like I wouldn't say like I was like, oh yeah, like this is a thing. I was just like, yeah, like they're probably there. I just haven't really seen anything. And then after that, I was like, yeah, that's interesting.
That would do it. Yeah, that would solidify.
Yeah.
That would solidify some belief, I think.
Yeah.
The
So
perspective change is particularly
that's
interesting.
because normally when I dream, it's always first person and it's always like I feel like I'm in a cloud. But this was like very clear. And like the perspective, like I don't know how like the perspectives kept changing like with the same dream. Because normally when I dream, it's always first person, and it's like things just like transition like in a very obscure way. Like and it's never connected. Like it's like like I'm riding a dolphin in a cloud eating a popsicle, and next thing I know I'm working a shift at Taco Bell. Like okay, but this was like it was.
Is it a real dream that you had? I hope so.
I don't feel comfortable talking about it.
Okay.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. Of course, that's my dolphin cloud riding dream I have every other night.
Good. It's a recurring one. That's even better.
Yeah, I don't know what it means. I talked to it with my therapist, who happens to be Moschino.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
I've had a therapy session with Moschino, but I had to transfer.
Yeah, and he just I as did I. He ended up just calling me. He just called me some names, and I laughed and I paid him.
Exactly. Yeah, I had to.
It's like
it wasn't very healthy.
Yeah,
for me,
it's like maybe
personally.
he's like maybe you should toughen up. That'll be $200. Like what?
It's like maybe you should just stop.
Yeah,
Like just stop. Just stop feeling bad.
just don't. Like don't what? I don't know.
I just sat down. What are you talking
Yeah,
about?
what? I just got here. What do you? What? Yeah, what? I didn't say anything. But yeah. Yeah. So those are some interesting stories. Well, really quick, I gotta go. I gotta go eat and pet my dogs here in a little bit. They just got out of the tub. But I do want to ask you this this question, just because I'm really fascinated with it. So you've collabed with a lot of different narrators. Now, who would be your top 3 that you haven't narrated with that you would like to?
Ooh, that's a good question. Yeah, I feel like I've collabed with a lot of narrators that I have wanted to, which I'm very lucky to be able to say. But honestly, okay, so probably if there are going to be narrators that I haven't collabed with yet that I would like to, it's probably because they're bigger channels than me. Because I am so intimidated by asking like bigger channels to collab with me, just because I'm always like, oh, they're probably so busy, like they probably don't want to collab with a tiny channel like me. So I always like overthink it. Even with the Dark Somnium, who I've worked with a couple times, and like I've been on his channel more than he's been on mine. But even with him, like we're friends, and I still get intimidated.
Dude, let me tell you about Ronnie. First of all, coolest dude, super talented. And then he was like, "Oh, I'm really nervous to come on your stream." I'm like, "I'm nervous to talk to you. Like, why are you like? I'm a normal dude. Like, I have."
He's so real.
Yeah.
He's so like down to earth. It's awesome.
Yeah, he's like an actual person. Where with me, I specifically try to not be like. I'm trying to like. I'm very like. Not I try to be like, oh, like that, like I'm trying to be like an NPC kind of thing, you know, like like when people ask like, who do you think killed this person, like hopefully my name doesn't come up, you know what I'm saying?
Like a background character.
But very black. Yeah, if you think of me, then I failed. Like that's
okay.
I'm like my goal is to blend in.
Of course, yes.
Yeah, so
that checks out.
Yeah, nice. I'm glad. Good. Yeah. So that's what. Same with Mortis Media. Like, so I asked both of them. I'm like, do you guys consider yourselves famous? Like, you have hundreds of thousands of people that watch your channels. like constantly, and they're like, no, I am just a normal dude, and I just record stuff, and I think it's cool, and like they're like so sincere, so nice.
Yeah.
And that's something I've noticed is like, at least with those guys, like because I had the same sentiment where I'm like, oh my gosh, like I'm too nervous. Like I asked them on Twitter, and I was like, there's no way these guys are gonna respond to me. Like I'm a little guy. Like they don't, like they have way busier things to do. And they're like, oh yeah, no, we'd love to. And yeah, like, and they came on. Each of them came on for like just under 2 hours. So, and I completely blew my mind. So let's just say like the rest of the narrators are as cool as those two guys. Who would you go to make your dream collab? Top 3.
Oh my gosh. God, it's such a hard. I feel like there's so many talented narrators out there. It's honestly, I mean, well, I've been actually, okay, so I've been on a couple channels where like I've been on their channel, but they haven't been on mine.
Right.
So like, you know, I really wanted to work with Fidith. And
really?
I was on his channel a while, like, oh my gosh, I don't even know how long ago, but a while ago, I was on his channel. I did a collab with him, and I created like a thumbnail for him once, which was interesting, because I don't feel like that's not nearly an area of my expertise, but that was fun, but anyway, yeah, so I wanted to work with Fidith, but like so I was on his channel, but he'd never been on my channel, and I actually like just like recently was able to ask him to take a role in my channel, so now he is going to be on my channel, and I'm very excited. But so things like that, like I have been on other people's channels because they ask me to do stuff, and I'm like, oh my god, sure. But then I'm too scared to ask them to be on mine. So like,
interesting. Why are you a little afraid of that?
I don't know. It's just because again, it's just like the I don't know. I guess I always have anxiety about like asking for help in general, and so I'm always like, because I always figure I can like I can just do it myself, you know, like. But I've been getting more and more into collabs recently, especially in the last year or so, because I find them to be like they're a little stressful, just in the sense of like coordinating everybody.
Yeah.
And, like you have to reach out to so many people, and like especially when they are bigger channels, I tend to have to like remind them more, just because they have so much, like they're so busy, they have so much going on. It makes sense, but that scares me. I'm like, oh my god, I'm being annoying. So anyway, it's like a little stressful in that sense, but it's also just really fun, and I feel like the stories that I'm the most proud of have been collabs, just because, like, I can do it myself, but it's just, there's so many talented people out there. It's just so much more fun to have them contribute and bring stories to life that way, which I assume is why they ask me to be on their channels, so I feel that I should do the same thing. And also, it just helps me stay connected to the community, you know. Anyway, this is a whole roundabout way to say that there are
what I'm trying to say. Right.
What I'm trying to say, I have a hard time sticking to the point of questions. So I've been on, for example, like Dr. Creepin's channel,
okay.
And I would be terrified to ask him to narrate anything for me.
Why? Why? You've already talked to him before.
I know. Well, I was in a compilation. I don't even remember if we directly talked to him. It was run by like someone else, but posted on his channel.
What?
But it was like a Halloween. I think it was a Halloween or Christmas. I don't know. Anyway, the point is, I don't even remember if I talked to him directly, but I would. That would scare me. But so I guess like big narrators like that, I don't know. I mean, I haven't gotten to the point, unless it's like the Dark Somnium, who like, again, I am friends with, I haven't gotten to the point where I'm like brave enough to approach like a bigger narrator and be like, hey, be on my channel. Especially because I'm terrible at like collecting stories that far in advance. I tend to like go on Twitter and be like, hey, I need like a male narrator and a female narrator who can submit lines by like in like 3 days because I only just got my story together. So I need to like plan one in advance and then ask a bigger narrator to be on it, so that they actually have time to like do it for me, because I don't want to be like, hey, I'm a tiny channel, submit lines in like 2 days please, thank you. So anyway, I don't know, there's a ton of people that I would love to work with, and I don't even like, it's hard for me to even think of specifics because there's so many that I am in contact with that I just straight up have not worked with. But
dude, you would totally get away with murder, by the way.
oh really?
Yeah.
I would find a way to distract
You'd be like,
from, like the actual question.
they'd be like, Spirit Voices, did you do this? It's like, well, I'm glad you asked that. So it all started
You asked that.
back in Ohio.
So like the other day, I was actually just asked if I would get away with murder. This is my answer. I would just, yeah, you're right. I would just completely go off on a completely different tangent. They'd be like, what? Well, that was sort of an answer I got. I don't know. Moving on.
No, you're totally good. Okay, so if you had to pick, let's say hypothetically, you had to pick 3.
3. Okay. So probably Dr. Creepin.
Okay.
And oh God, I'm trying to think of like any narrators now. I would say the Dark Somnium because I've already worked with him. But I love working with him. I would work with him over and over again if I could. Let's see. Why am I like blanking on all narrators now? Oh, Darkness Prevails probably.
Okay. That makes
because,
sense. Yeah.
Like I said, he was one of the first people I've ever listened to. So yeah, so Dr. Creepin, Darkness Prevails, and then God, let's see. I want to work with more female narrators.
I was just thinking that, because I was gonna ask you that, but we got a little sidetracked, with different things.
As I do.
No, more so me, but yeah, I feel like the female narrators are very represented in the narration genre, which is a shame because I feel like they capture so much emotion and like they do such a great job, and especially on different stories I feel like they can deliver like a scarier vibe almost depending on the story. But yeah, like I feel like when it comes to female narrators you immediately come to mind, but that's obviously I think just because you and I have interacted before.
Yeah, I know. Like I really have not worked with as many female narrators as I want to, because yeah, they are relatively underrepresented, and it's funny because like I used to know more, but they just like stopped putting out content for whatever reason. So I'm not even sure. Like I remember looking for someone to be in a collab with me, and I was like looking up female narrators that I used to know, and some of them haven't posted in like several months now, and I'm like, oh no. But yeah, like I love working with Romnex, as I said, although she is also taking a break right now, I think.
Oh, is she?
I think so. Well, last I looked. And gosh, I work with I don't know if you know Dodge the Grave. I think she was in the
That sounds
earlier.
so familiar. It sounds so familiar.
She was in NFC.
Okay, that's probably
But
right.
she I think she's relatively new, actually. She's like a small channel. But she's so talented. She's in a video that I'm about to put out too.
Nice.
The same one as Beth, actually. And she's great. She's awesome. I love working with her. I just found her like recently, but she's awesome. But yeah, like those are the two. I feel like those are the only two. I used to work with other narrators, but again, they've like usually like they kind of stopped putting out content. I used to work with like Dark Owl Stories a lot, and I don't think she's posted in a while. Like Penny Tails Up. I don't know if you know any of these people.
Oh yeah, I know Penny Tails. Yeah.
Yeah, Penny Tails. I love her. She's great. I don't think she's posted anything in a while either.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess, yeah, I would love to work with more female narrators because they're like, it's fun. I feel like some of my best projects have been just like me and like other female narrators just like tag teaming stories. But a lot of them are male dominated. Even the stories I feel like tend to be like horror stories.
Yeah.
Can sometimes be male dominated too. So
Yeah.
that can be a little difficult to work with.
Yeah,
but-
the girls need to step it up and be scarier and creepier.
God, I know, right?
Yeah, I feel like, well, especially like Let's Not Meet, it's always guys being weird.
I know.
It's just like,
I know.
it's just someone that just doesn't know how to act around like normal people in like a very scary situation.
Maybe it's because all the girls are just getting away with it.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, they're like, they watch too many true crime shows. They know how to dodge the questions.
Not to call out anyone in particular.
No one in particular. They play practical jokes on their younger brother.
Have some scary tendencies.
Yeah, no, for sure.
But I'm just saying.
Well, cool.
Maybe I'm not the only one.
No, exactly. Like you're very inconspicuous.
Maybe all the female narrators are just lying low.
Yeah, exactly. All of them they're like, the police are like, could it be these people? Nah, no. They said that they said they're socially weird or something. It can't be them. They wouldn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Just waiting for the right time to strike.
Right. And then boom, you're in a grave looking up, and there you are standing with a shovel.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, awesome.
So I guess what I'm saying is female narrators are scary just in the way that you wouldn't expect.
Right, exactly. Right. So cool. Dr. Creepin, Vidith, and Darkness Prevails. Are those your three?
Yeah, I mean, well, now I have worked with Vidith, so I guess the third would just be like a female.
You think
there have been a few popular female narrators.
Have you worked with Raven Reeds?
You know what? No, I have not. Actually, I was just looking at her channel recently, and she has a great voice.
She does. I asked her to come on. She probably just missed my message. But,
I think she, because again, I was looking at her channel recently. I think she might be on a honeymoon right now.
She recently got engaged. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, so that might be why.
Yeah, that would be.
Because I was gonna ask her too, and then I was like, oh, she's probably super busy right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, she's actually great. So I'll list her as my third because
nice.
Her voice is very good.
Yeah, no, I binge watch a lot of her stuff when I'm on long road trips. Like I like her channel because she has like a couple of multiple hour long videos that I can just kind of drive and listen to, which I really like.
The longer videos are great. I don't think I've ever gone to an hour. I feel like that's so difficult. I don't understand how people can do that. Because it's so much, like, for me, it's so much work, even just like a 20-minute video. I'm like, I'm tired.
Yeah. No, it's crazy. Yeah, no, it's insane. Well, the funny thing is like, I've started to push myself, and I thought this would be easy, and it's not hard, but it's like, I definitely had to push myself. But you and I have been talking nonstop for 2 hours.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, I feel like if you really wanted to, I feel like you could definitely. I mean, granted, recording is much different than live streaming. I feel like.
Right. Because my that, and also like recording. I mean, I can record for 2.5 hours, but when I actually edit, it gets cut down to like 40 minutes, and I'm like, oh well, that's nothing.
That's still pretty long. 40 minutes is still pretty good.
40 minutes is okay. I have been sticking to longer, like somewhat longer stories recently. So I've gotten, that's what I was saying, like I've gotten kind of close, but I don't think I've ever reached like an hour, over an hour. That's why like the 6-hour NFC video was like insane to me. I was like, I could literally never do that.
That's crazy.
It would take me 5 years.
Yeah, that's crazy. Well, the trick is you do like a compilation, or you do like a compilation, and then you do a collab.
So you'll get you can get like some other people in there, but
That's
yeah.
true. That's true, because then you don't have to do everything.
Yeah, exactly.
yourself.
That's why Campfire Tales, he and I, like, I love it when he sends me stuff because I'm like, oh, nice. Like, I don't have to do as much stuff now.
Yeah, no, that's great. I should do more compilations. I only ever do compilations on Halloween.
Oh, nice.
Or like occasionally, when I was producing more stuff, I did like a halfway to Halloween one in April.
Mm-hmm.
So I did that one.
Halfway to Halloween, that's awesome.
Halfway to Halloween. But most of my compilations are just on Halloween. But they're also short too. They're still like, I've never done like one of those huge community collaborations. But I have been part of them before. I just have never made my own.
Nice. Yeah, no, I think you should. I think that'd be cool. I think not only would it be good to get out of like your comfort zone a little bit, but I think your fans would really like to see I mean, you work with other people and see you on other channels, because whenever I see you on different channels, I'm like, oh, I know her.
That's fun though. I like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that would be fun. I need to. I would just, again, it's all the coordination is.
Oh my
is
gosh.
a little
Yeah,
difficult,
it's
but,
crazy.
I mean, I'm sure it's doable. I've seen other narrators do it before, so
Yeah.
just have to do what they do.
Well, I'm just speaking.
Plan in advance.
Yeah.
That's the main thing.
I'm speaking as a fan. Like, that's something I would like to see. I think that'd be cool.
Well, I will take note of that because I do think it would be fun. Especially if people would actually like that.
Yeah.
So.
No, for sure.
We'll have to see.
Well, I'll tell you what. You can pick out any video or any story I've ever done. I can definitely send it to you. I've sent people. Let's see. Papa Scare asked me the other night. He's like, "Hey, can you send me some stories?" And I sent him 3. So.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So if you want any of my stories or anything like that, I am more than willing to send them to you. Yeah.
Sure.
Because
I'll definitely look into it because that sounds fun.
Yeah, awesome. Well, hey, I gotta get running. Thank you so much. I feel like I should have put more time. Like I should have had a bigger time slot for you. Like I feel like we're just now getting into it. But yeah,
I feel like that happens with most of the live streams I'm on because I just love to like have a conversation and I derail the host too much.
No, it's great. No, that's exactly what I want, is because this allows me to showcase your skills, your abilities, and like who you are as a narrator and things like that, which I think is awesome. Because sometimes you'll get people where they only stick to what the question was or things like that. But it's really cool to see the different range and different, like, the way you think and things like that. I think it's awesome.
Well, thank you. I mean, listen, if you ever do another one of these, I would be happy to come back because I love doing live streams with other people. I hate hosting them myself because I get too stressed out, but I love being on live streams with on other people's channels. It's very fun.
Oh, nice. I didn't know that. Well, maybe would you consider doing a live stream on your channel with someone else?
I would. I've done that before. Not like an interview style thing, but I've like played games with a couple people before, and that's always a little bit chaotic. But I might have to try some like actual, just like casual conversation type stuff.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, well, it's fun to me. It's fun for me too because it's like I don't want, like, I want to ask. There's some questions I have to ask just because, like, that's what people want to know. Like, they want to know, like, where you get your name and how you started. But then I get to ask fun things like, oh, like, what's the scariest thing that happened to you? Or, like, do
you believe in aliens?
Yeah, do you like how many aliens do you believe in? Like, things, I don't know, things like that. So.
those are the just for you questions.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, but yeah. Hey, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate you. You're amazing. I feel like I said, I feel like we're just now getting into it, but I got to get running. But I appreciate you so much for coming on. Thank you so much for being awesome and putting out the different videos and things like that you put on your channel, and just being like an awesome person in general.
You're so sweet.
Do you have anything before we head off? Do you have anything for us to look forward to? You kind of mentioned it before, but coming up on Halloween, anything we should look forward to?
Well, so I do have a compilation that I am working on. Again, just the thing I do every year. I will premiere it on Halloween night. But then the day after that, I will be posting a video So November 1st, I'll be posting a video with Bidith and Dodge the Grave and let's see, As the Raven Dreams and The Dark Somnium. So that will be very fun.
Oh, that
like,
sounds intense.
That's like the biggest collab I've done in a while.
That's a huge
so
collab.
Yeah, so they will be on my, like, just doing it. It's not like a Halloween specific story, but just like a fun story with me. So I'm very excited about that. I'm working on that actually, like, right now. So.
Oh, perfect. Well, awesome. Well, you guys heard it. Yeah, if you're in the chat, check out Spirit Voices on Halloween, and then also the day after. Sounds like she has some fun stuff planned for us.
Yep. Oh yeah, it'll be exciting.
Awesome. Well, hey, thank you so much for coming on. Plug your channel links, all that good stuff, so that way we can get you the proper recognition that you deserve.
Oh yeah, let me speed type them in the chat real quick.
Awesome. Well, hey, thank you so much for being a great guest. And yeah, hit me up if you ever want to do anything in the future. I will definitely keep in mind. I don't know if I'll do the 13 nights again next year, but we'll see. We'll see how the next year goes. But yeah, I had a great time talking with you. So thank you so much for being a fun guest.
Of course. Well, again, if you ever do like a live stream in general, I will be happy to come back because this is very fun.
Awesome. I had a
we
great.
should definitely talk again, just in general.
For sure. I agree. Totally. Well, awesome. Well, I'm gonna let you go. Thank you for coming on tonight.
Of course, no problem. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Have a great one.
You too.
All right. Bye-bye. All right, so that was Spirit Voices. That was a great live stream. I felt like we got to really get to know her a lot more, just in terms of just her personality and things like that. But I hope you guys had a great evening tonight. Again, I had Spirit Voices on. Make sure to go check out her channel and go subscribe. She does a great job on her channel. I really like her voice acting, just in the ways that she's able to really encompass the different roles that she portrays in the stories. But anyways, guys, you guys are amazing. I thank you so much for joining us in the live stream, and I will see you guys tomorrow night. Have a great evening.